What's going on, everybody? It's Peter Tracy, aka Studio 11508, and today we're going to be talking about Waypoint Indicators. We just released the ability to support multiple cameras, and if you check it out on the demo scene, you will be able to play around with it yourself. We won't be creating a scene like this, but we'll be creating a scene like this. So stick around and let's jump into it. All right, so now we have a brand new Unity scene, just a camera and a directional light. We also have our Waypoint Indicator asset installed. All we need now to start is an object to track. So let's go in and create a 3D object. It's going to be a cube. Let's center that thing to 0, 0, 0 on all axes. And then we're going to pull it forward so we can see it in front of the camera. We bring it up just a little bit to give it some contrast, and we're just going to rotate it a little bit just to give it a dynamic look so that when our three cameras switch, we'll be able to see that change pretty obviously. Now that we have our cube, let's assign it the Waypoint Indicator script. So we're going to go to Add Component, type in Waypoint, and it should automatically show up under Waypoint Indicator. And first things first, we need a canvas, and we need to tag it canvas. So let's go into the hierarchy, UI, create canvas, and we notice that it's not currently tagged. So we need to add a tag, and we're going to call this tag canvas to match that in the Waypoint Indicator script. We're going to hit save. We're going to re-highlight the canvas, and we're just going to assign the new tag canvas to the canvas. We go back into the cube, and we can see everything is good to go. And we just want to double check that our main camera is also tagged main camera. And sure enough, there it is. Now that we have our camera and our canvas assigned to our tracking object, let's assign a Waypoint Indicator sprite to our object. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit play, and we're going to do this in real time so we can see our changes happening. So we're going to enable standard tracking, and we don't really need this text that you see here on that yellow box. So let's just disable that. And let's add a sprite. We're going to enable the sprite, and I like to go and use this diamond shape. It looks like a nice destination icon, and it's really clear. You'll notice that nothing came up, so in order to get it, we just have to uncheck and check the Waypoint Indicator script, and there it is. We're just going to give it a little bit of a size adjustment and maybe make it a yellow just so it stands out against the white cube. In order to do that, we're just going to take out that show boundary box. We don't really need this for this purpose. Now everything looks great. We're going to have to turn off the play mode, but we don't want to lose our changes. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click and we're going to copy components. And so now we have the values copied into our clipboard. And so you notice that everything resetted back. So once we paste our component values back in, everything shows up just the way we had it. And we can hit play to double check and make sure that it's there, which it is. And we can adjust and move the box, and everything looks great. All right, let's start adding some extra cameras to our scene. So I'm going to grab that first camera, and I'm going to Control-Command-D to duplicate once, and I'm going to Control-Command-D to duplicate it a second time, so that we have 3 cameras total in the scene. Now, for the sake of organization, I'm just going to go in here and rename these to Cam 1, Cam 2, and Cam 3. All right, now that we have our 3 cameras renamed properly, let's right click and create a new empty game object, and let's call this Camera Manager. And this is basically going to house our 3 cameras and the script that controls user input when switching between these 3 cameras. Now, the next thing that we want to do is create a C# script for our camera manager. So we're going to go into create, we're going to go C#, we're going to rename this to camera_manager. And once we double click inside of it, we're just going to make sure that it's open, but we're not going to write anything just yet. Instead, we're going to go into the documentation for Waypoint Indicators, which sits on the root level under documentation. We're going to double click that, and we're going to scroll down to what's new. We're going to click that, and here you'll see the multi-camera support. We're going to click Learn More, and this is the function that does all the magic. This is what you call out with your triggers to tell the Waypoint Indicator script that we're changing cameras. So we're going to use this example here, all this code that you see in this gray box. Just go ahead and highlight all that code, and we're just going to copy that. We're going to go back to our script, our camera manager. We're just going to Control All, and we're just going to paste it all in there. Everything looks great. We're going to hit save, and then we're going to come back into Unity and get back up to the top level where our script sits, our camera manager script. And we're going to click on our camera manager object and drag that script in. And here right away, you'll see that there's 3 slots for our 3 cameras. So I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to drag over each camera, camera 1, camera 2, and camera 3. So before we hit play, it's important to note that adding the cameras into the inspector public fields isn't enough. We're going to need to tag these. And as you can see in this code, it's looking for the camera tags in order to pass them as an argument through the switch cameras function. So let's go in and let's give each one of our new cameras a tag name. So we're going to call this cam 1. We're going to hit save. We're going to create a new tag. We're going to call this one cam 2. And we're going to create a new tag and call this one cam 3. Now don't forget to assign the tags once you've created them. So let's go ahead and assign to cam 1. Let's go assign cam 2, and we're going to assign cam 3 to cam 3. All right, now that we got all 3 of our cameras tagged properly, let's go into our cube and hit up that Waypoint Indicators script, and let's find that multiple cameras checkbox and check it. And you're going to also notice that the main camera is still tagged main camera. Don't worry about that. Our script is handling this on the default start function where we call the camera 1 tag and then relaying it to our switch cams function. So let's talk really quickly about what actually triggers the camera manager to swap between cameras. That's going to actually be a keyboard press of the 1, 2, and 3 keys using the input.keyUp. Clicking that will cause this function to execute, which does the camera switching. So to break down the switch cams function really quickly, it takes 2 arguments. One is your new camera tag name, which we just got done tagging, and the distance calculation target, which is usually the camera, but sometimes it could be your player if it's a third-person perspective game. All right, let's hit play and see what happens. And it looks like our waypoint indicator is rendering to our first camera, and it's rendering to the second camera as we switch, and to the third as well. So just to reiterate, every time you change a new camera or every time you switch, you're calling a function that tells every single waypoint indicator in your scene that it's time to render to a new camera. Well guys, that's it for now. If you found this video useful, feel free to give it a like, and I'll see you on the next video.